Hi, welcome to Restore 2022. Today we're reading Luke's Gospel, chapter 4, and it marks the beginning of Jesus' public ministry. But before he can begin, Jesus is subjected to a final, intense training experience. He is led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. This is the enemy he must resist and overcome to fulfill his mission. The Judean wilderness is a desolate, rocky terrain, and Jesus remained there for 6 weeks without eating before the onslaught of the temptations began. And then, when he was hungry, the devil lured him with appeals to easy success or contemporary models of power, such as the wow of a magician or an earthly Messiah. Jesus resisted each temptation by citing Deuteronomy and quoting 3 commands given by Moses to Israel when they were also being tested in a wilderness. Jesus emerged from his trial strengthened and in the power of the Spirit, and straight away he travelled 70 miles back to Galilee. There, he taught in the synagogues and was an immediate sensation, bringing glory to God. But this came to an abrupt end when he visited Nazareth. As usual, on the Saturday, he went to the synagogue, and on this occasion he was invited to read. It's worth noting that the synagogue attendant chose the scroll of Isaiah, but it was Jesus who chose the passage to read. And since the scroll of Isaiah was so large and the passage Jesus chose so near the end, the process of unrolling the scroll right to left must have taken some time before he found and read what we know as chapter 61. The passage speaks of grievous disabilities that people may suffer, whether physical, mental, or spiritual, ills from which they can't deliver themselves. One day, though, the messianic servant of the Lord, spoken in the prophecy, will bring relief and release to them all. Now, as Jesus expounded the passage, he declared that right there, in their hearing, the prophecy had been fulfilled, that he himself was the messianic figure spoken of. The congregation had been listening happily to their hometown boy, but now they were shocked. This was madness. After all, they knew him. They'd known him for almost 30 years. He was Joseph's boy. And yes, he was a nice bloke and a very good workman. But right now he was out of his mind, and they didn't want to be connected to any messianic cult. After all, it was only 20 years ago that a similar cult had arisen at Sepphoris, 5 miles away. That one had been crushed by the Romans, and they destroyed the town because of it. No one wanted that to happen again, not in Nazareth. Jesus sensed the change in mood and reminded them of incidents from the lives of Elijah and Elisha, which illustrated that no prophet is acceptable in his hometown. And at this, the congregation's mood changed again from indignation to fury. And a kind of hysteria seized them, and mob rule took over. Jesus was manhandled to the brow of a hill where they intended to execute him by throwing him down the rocky slope. But right now, a miracle occurred in Nazareth. Jesus somehow passed through the seething mob and simply went away. The remainder of the chapter records that everywhere else in Galilee, Jesus' ministry was welcomed. It was powerful and successful, and it clearly fulfilled the prophecy he had expounded in Nazareth. And of course, right at the end we meet Peter for the first time. And then more of that in the next chapter.